WIKB, Iron River, Crystal Falls, Amasa.
Now, here's Dr. Larry.
Did you know? Let's go.
You've waited all week.
Every week, we continue to learn how to achieve a better back and ultimately better health.
Live in the WIKB studios, this is Dr. Larry.
Well, thank you. That was fast. For hitting the flex capacitor, Tim. Hello again, everybody. Okay, let's get it started. Well, as you know, every show builds on the next. Every week, we continue to learn how to achieve a better back and ultimately better health. Now, in case any of you missed it, last week we talked about patience. It was an important week to be tuned in because we learned and defined about a common denominator among a certain set of patients for a reason, because let's face it, it can happen in any season. So here it is again. UTI, urinary tract infection. Have you had one of those in the last 12 months? Respiratory tract infection. Have you had one of those in the last 12 months? Statins. Have you been prescribed one of those in the last 12 months? And one more, sinus infection. Have you had one of those in the last 12 months? What one potential common denominator do all of the above have? I will tell you the tale, and you don't even need a degree from Harvard or Yale. A retired elderly lady recently checked herself into my office. She had the following and has it: COPD and an acute upper respiratory infection. And then this happened to her. In another case, a middle-aged female previously checked herself into my office, and she had high cholesterol, and then this almost happened to her. And in a third case, a retired farmer previously checked himself into my office. He had high cholesterol, and then this happened to him. So what can or is common among these patients and patients with urinary tract infections? Let me state the question a little differently. Again, it's a review, so I've got to speed it up. What is the relevant and relatable between all of these cases? How does a UTI patient share a common ground with a respiratory infection patient and a cholesterol patient? If I put all of these patients of mine into a room together, what one potential common conversation might they have that would reveal what common pitfall I'm talking about? Well, let's find out. So let's theater the mind for a moment. They're all in a room talking. The UTI patient says, I've got pain and burning and sensation when I urinate. I feel frequency to urinate, but not much. I have some abdominal pain, some changes in my urine, and some bloody urine. I went to my doctor, and they said, boom, you have a UTI. Then the respiratory patient pops up and says, oh, well, I went to my doctor, and I had this horrible cough, fever, sore throat, runny, stuffy nose, fatigue, headache, body aches, but it can range from mild to severe sometimes. And then the doctor says, you have, boom, a respiratory infection. And then the cholesterol patient pipes up and says, well, I went to my doctor. I had a wellness checkup, and they said I had high cholesterol. So there's the conversation. Besides going to the doctor, this is really kind of boring conversation so far, like a water cooler type conversation, and they all went home. Then at some point, they all made an appointment to see me for various aches and pains. And as I see patients throughout the year, one thing I'm always on the lookout for are common denominators. And I'll define this in two ways for you. There's the math one, which is Tim and I, thumbs up, a number that is a multiple of all the denominators in a set of fractions. Makes adding and subtracting fractions with different denominators possible by creating like fractions. That's a common denominator. In practical terms, this is a shared characteristic, interest that connects different people or groups, even if they seem very different. So that's why I pulled these out for you. Now, I didn't want you to sweat the math definition because it's really talking about the figurative definition. With the practical common denominators, we as healthcare practitioners have to be very careful. There are too many common denominators that healthcare providers like us create pitfalls and rabbit holes. It happens. That's a whole nother show that I need to do for you, because I'm not kidding. But there is something to be said about these common denominators that connects conditions, problems, and results in valid information to share with you. Now let's go back to these patients and see if you are one of those or now previously. Have you had a UTI? Or have you had a respiratory infection or a sinus infection? Do you have high cholesterol? So far, the common denominator is totally difficult to discern, but let me take it one step further. What is the typical medical treatment for all the above? Answer for the UTI would be antibiotics. The respiratory infection, antibiotics and possible steroids. The sinus infection, antibiotics, and the high cholesterol would be statins. So I guess we could say one common denominator is a prescription. Another would be antibiotics, but then we would have to exclude the high cholesterol statin patient. And remember what I said, the one. What one do they all have in common? Now, in one case, the sinus infection, the patient came in to see me, she had been prescribed the following. Now I'm developing the point for you. It's a review, so I don't have to build momentum. I'm just going to get to the point here. Symptom of this developed in 48 hours. I sent her to an urgent care facility with a note for me, and guess what? I got an immediate call back, a stat call, as we say in the business, urgent from the physician. Very curt, very upset, very dismissive, and argumentative with me. The physician disagreed with my assessment. How could I think this could be a common denominator? She'd never seen it before. I said, well, hey, let's just prove it. Let's prove this. Let's take her off of the antibiotic and let's see if her symptoms quiet down. She agreed. And here's what happened. The patient's symptoms went away. Now, in fairness, I haven't given you the symptoms, and here they are. Upper back, arm muscle pain, neck pain, severe stiffness in the neck, and muscle swelling in the upper back and arm. Prior to removing the medication, the physician told me, she has a lot of arthritis in her neck, right? I said, yes, but that's not the problem. That's not the common denominator here. This is what I've seen before, and this is what we have to prove. Muscle problems being caused from antibiotics. And she said, well, I've never seen it before. And I thought in my head, you probably never looked for it. That's why I'm telling you. Now, what medication am I talking about? Augmentin. And I'm going to peel this right off of the internet. I'm going to read it verbatim for you. Just Augmentin reaction. Yes, muscle pain, myalgia can be a side effect of Augmentin, sometimes indicating a serious allergic reaction or systemic drug reaction, especially when accompanied by fever, rash, swollen glands, unusual weakness requiring immediate medical attention. So the irony there is exactly what I did, because she came to see me because of stiff neck and arm pain, and I noticed all the swelling and everything, and I said, this is not from arthritis, this has got to be from something else. So in this case, I'm telling you this because in urgent care, and I've seen this before and I run into these problems, this is why I bring it up, is it's not often associated with that. All the while, the patient is having a destructive process going, an allergic reaction to an antibiotic. So the common denominator is certain medications, antibiotics, and then I'm going to pull in the statin, can cause short-term muscle aches and pains, joint stiffness. Long-term, like the farmer that I didn't tell you what he had, when he came in with a back problem and I went to grab his arms and I felt toothpicks. And I looked at his wife and she says, well, I need to tell you a story. So she proceeded to tell me that he took short-term statin drugs and it literally ate away at the muscles in his arms. No recovery. He has zero muscle left in his arms. It literally chewed away at the whole thing. So that's what can happen. They didn't pick up on that right away. It was under the radar for a while, and then the symptoms were there, but then unfortunately later on now the muscle damage is complete and permanent. And kudos to the fella. Tough old Wisconsin farmer. He's still out there running tractor in his mid-80s with arms that really just basically don't work above his waist. So that is the common denominator. That's what I went through with the remaining show from last week. The signs and symptoms, how they were exhibited, what to look out for, the muscle damage from prescriptions that, and by the way, again, for the trolls out there, this is not me pitching you not to take antibiotics and statins. I'll just keep saying it until there's zero trolls in the world. That's not what my point is in fact, look, I wasn't even trying to adjust the patient. I wasn't like, oh, let's just adjust your neck. I was looking for signs and symptoms that were different than would be indications for an adjustment. And that's my job as a chiropractor, is to look for those things that are non-chiropractic issues that patients come in, which is going to be one of the main topics, or the main topic of the show that I've got coming up here in just a few, so stay tuned for that. Now, briefly, what happens is the medication will alter the collagen and protein production through the enzymes so your muscles become dysfunctional. This is about as best and least clinical way as I can say it to you. Now, you hear this, and the reason why I spent a whole show on it last week is because it still comes in. And I'm still dealing with these problems, and they are not being caught. So now you will be able to catch them either in yourself or someone you know. But remember, it's not going to be a straight and narrow, it's not going to be a straight, easy path. You will typically get kickback. You will get disagreed with. You will get shrugged at. You'll get eyes rolled at because you Google searched, or maybe even like some people, you referenced me in the show. That's happened before too. Oh, sure. What did Dr. Larry say? I mean, that happens. So the reality is you got to be a little firm, a little thick, pleasant and kind, like a nice big smile that Tim and I had when we saw each other this morning. That's how you have to treat it. That will get you the answer that you need. And by the way, to circle back to that urgent care physician, all is good now. Anytime I send somebody there, she's got a lot of respect. Her eyes light up. Everything is cool. So we took a bad situation, both with the patient and a bad attitude, made it good with common heads and common thinking. If you missed that show, unfortunately, there was a technical difficulty last week, which means no recording for that one. We got some computer stuff that's being updated around here. But if you missed any show and want to be more in the know besides that one, then hit the subscribe button on drlarryradio.com. Follow the links to listen to all my shows. They've been uploaded now, which you can listen to at your leisure as a podcast. And also any of the platforms now, like Spotify, they have my shows on there as well, too. And here's the final point. If you are prescribed certain types of pills, just remember they can cause common ills. Now, beyond that, in addition to the Consumer Reports, last week, one of my favorite magazines, last week we learned a simple self-test for a strained hamstring. It was another Dr. Larry cool tool, and you can call my office for a freebie reminder just in case you need a retip or a tip up. And so that was last week. Hi-ya, karate chop. Now today we'll forget that monologue for a moment and keep remembering those mandatory communication skills all doctors must have, which are inquisitive listening and staying positive. Again, it often means the difference between sick and well. Also, it's another month of the year, so let's keep our elbows in gear. So in our tip and trick segment today, we're going to learn a simple self-test for ulnar nerve entrapment. I'll tell you what it is later. Actually, Tim's going to tell you what it is later. He's going to call it out. And of course, you snap into a Tim are calling it out right from the broadcast booth while we crank up the tunes and I hit the center stage for the demo. However, before all that, in order to have good health, you don't need a lot of wealth. So let's flex our forebrain and put some knowledge to the game, because today we're going to talk about, hit it, Pearl.
Dr. Larry brings you another segment of Did You Know?
Why? Why are there so many heart attacks? Why? Why, with all the modern technology, are there so many heart attacks? Why, with all the available information on how to prevent a heart attack, is heart disease still the number one killer in the United States? Why? When a patient goes to the doctor, gets a clean bill of health, but dies of a heart attack quickly, sometimes even the next day, why? I will tell you why. Heart attacks are still a surprise. Why? And I will make you a bit more wise when we get back from the break. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Dr. Larry Radio Show.
Dr. Larry will be back in a moment.
This is Judy Akins. John and I wanted to take a little time out during this busy time of year to thank all of you for making 2025 another fantastic year at Jensen Akins of Conover and 3 Lakes Docks and Lifts. From our family to yours, we want to wish all of our friends and neighbors a very happy and prosperous new year. We may be small, but we're wishing you big blessings for 2026.
This is Cindy from Long Lake, and you're listening to Dr. Larry Radio. I would never recommend buying a home without having the water tested first. It's cool, it's clear, it looks clean. Oh, it tastes good. Well, what's really in it? And we just recommend that you check it out. I'm Jennifer Toivonen. I'm a co-lab director at Whitewater Associates of AMISA. Coliform bacteria, lead, arsenic, nitrates, nitrites. You want to be sure that water is safe. I would recommend giving us a call. That way we can tailor the kit that we send to you for what you need. 906-822-7889. Give us a call.
An audiologist has extensive training preventing, diagnosing, and treating hearing and balance disorders. Research has shown people tend to underestimate the degree of their hearing loss. Rather than just selling hearing aids and fitting them, we try to look at the person and where he is as far as counseling and guidance on his hearing journey.
There's never been a better time to start hearing what you've been missing, and Lori LaFleur at Tri-County Communications will help you every step of the way on your journey to better hearing. Visit her office at 609 Central Avenue in Florence, Wisconsin. Give her a call at 715-528-4350 or find help online at TriCountyAudiology.com.
Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized to you and your family? Will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situations change? When you work with Ryan O'Grady, your Crystal Falls Edward Jones financial advisor, he focuses on what's important to you. You'll work together and use an established process to create a personalized financial strategy, backed by the advice, tools, and resources to help you reach your goals. And you can partner long-term to help your strategy stay on track. Contact Ryan today at 906-875-3833. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Break's over. Time to get cracking once again with Dr. Larry.
Welcome back. Heart attack. A retired lady around 70 recently checked herself into my office. She had severe onset of low back pain to one side. She's a current smoker and a long-term smoker, overall very lean, but at around 70, still high functioning. Her main concern was getting cancer, of course, but as of today, all scans and tests are clear. Labs are relatively normal. My question to you is this: why? Why could she have a sudden and unpredictable heart attack? In another case, a working lady around 70, current smoker, had a severe onset. By the way, don't look for a common denominator right now of smoking. That's just pulling these cases out. Had a severe onset of middle back pain after a lifting incident. She passed out from the pain, went to an out-of-state ER, was scanned, checked out, and was told, quote, "Your insides look great and your labs are perfect." In a follow-up visit with her primary care, an EKG was performed and she passed that with flying colors. My question to you is why? Why could she have a sudden and unpredictable heart attack? Both of these female patients have zero symptoms. Labs are great. Insides are fine. The first patient is an actual patient of mine, and the second patient is not. However, I have facts on the case, and they match very similar facts of many cases that have come across my desk over the years. These happen to be recent ones, so I grabbed those out. In a final third case, around a 70-year-old patient of mine, female, recently checked herself into my office with an acute thoracic pain that she had before. Had no other signs or symptoms. She came in. I saw her once. Offered to schedule her for a follow-up. She declined. She doesn't like to fuss with problems. However, her symptoms worsened. She began to heat up her body. Her body started to heat up. Pain intensified. Eventually went to a clinic, seen by a primary care, released without incident. Within 24 to 36 hours, symptoms worsened. She headed to an ER. They hooked up an EKG, among other things, and that's when she was hit with a surprise. She was having a massive heart attack. It caught she and her husband off guard. Now, why? Why did it catch them, she and her husband, by surprise? Why would it catch the two females by surprise. It hasn't happened yet. Don't know if it's going to happen, but why would it? Why, with all the modern technology, information, and access to healthcare, in many times are massive heart attacks a surprise? I use these 70-year-old females as cases to frame this a bit for you, but for the purpose of the discussions, let's replace them with a 50-year-old male, a 60-year-old male, a 70-year-old male. I'm right in that category. How about a 40-year-old male? Smoker or non-smoker, labs are good, EKG is normal, bang, heart attack. The leading cause of death globally and in the United States is heart disease, cardiovascular disease, which includes heart attacks and strokes, consistently ranking number one for decades, followed by cancer, and accidents and respiratory disease also being major killers. There you go, statistic. Key takeaways from this: heart disease is a persistent number one killer, but health, lifestyle choices are crucial for prevention, as many of these top causes are largely preventable. Now, I just ripped pages off the internet at that moment for you, and I just read them to you. Let me read a few more things to you, because I'm not anywhere near this point yet as to the why. Here's a blog from a physician. Yes, many heart problems can be present, even severe coronary artery disease with a, quote, normal EKG result. There are many types of heart problems. However, the EKG is still a rapid and valuable bedside test that only requires the presence of the EKG machine, a person to set up, run the tests, and a person who has experience in the results. An EKG always gives essential information about the current heart rhythm and oftentimes will initially demonstrate acute or chronic insults to the heart muscle or pericardium. So that's just from a physician, a blog. However, there is no medical test 100% sensitive and specific, including the EKG. So heart problems, per this physician, can absolutely be present with a normal EKG. So again, I just kind of peeled stuff off the internet for you. By the way, this is me saying this to you. Did you know what one of the most common first symptoms of a surprise heart attack is? Not chest pain, not arm pain or jaw pain, not shortness of breath, not lightheadedness, not nausea. It's the attack, then death. If you Google this or talk to a physician about this, it will appear as though I'm giving you wrong information. Let me reframe this for you a different way. Have you heard of or know anybody that died suddenly from a heart attack? Went out to get the mail, didn't come back. Went to bed, didn't wake up. Went for the walk in the woods, went hunting. You don't ever hear about the chest pain, the nausea, the lightheadedness. They just drop dead from the heart attack. Prior to that, typically it's this: I just saw so-and-so, and they seem fine to me. And that's my point. So what is the simple definition of just an attack? It's the act violently against someone or something to try to hurt, injure, or destroy something or someone. When the heart is attacked, it's violent, it's against you, with injury, with hurt, and destruction or death. And it's usually by surprise. Again, why then, with all the modern sophistication, are people still getting attacked by surprise in their heart? It's a less sophisticated answer, but it does require some sophistication on your part to grasp the simplicity of what I want to tell you. Now, I'm going to put myself in your shoes. Dr. Larry is a chiropractor. Why is he telling me? He's not a cardiologist. Why is he telling me about this? Well, dealing with patients for over 2 decades now, and being involved in cases like I just mentioned in the first 2 ladies that I talked to you about, in getting things going to get a predictability on their heart and what could be going on, even though they show no symptoms. I don't treat the heart problem. I identify risk factors and probabilities, and I get them to the people that they need to get to. But all the while, I have to hold those people accountability and keeping them on the right and narrow path to make sure that when a 70-year-old male or female smoker or non-smoker who exhibits zero symptoms and their insides look great, they pass their wellness exam, all is well, and then here comes in a patient of mine and I go, yeah, we need to get some things done because this person could potentially be high risk and die suddenly from a heart attack, or I get a heart attack suddenly and have destruction. It's not actually an easy conversation, because things typically, when somebody is asymptomatic like that, the default is a whole nother phraseology, which I'll give you in a second, which is part of the problem, and you're going to want to know that. So predicting an attack of your heart is what I'm talking about when you don't think or feel, or you've, quote, passed the tests with flying colors. That's what happens to these types of people. Now, of course, there's the ones that they've got genetic heart problems. There are the ones that know they have a high risk, and so they're on, certain regimens to do so. But as I was even doing a little research for this, and I was typing in stuff, as we tend to all do, look on the internet and gather information. As I was formulating this, what was lost in getting the information among all the John Hopkins website, the Mayo Clinic website, the blogs, the AI algorithm that gave me an answer, all of it, which was relevant information, but how do you digest that information so you aren't caught by surprise? And I go, there's none of that doesn't jump out at me. And yet people are still getting surprise heart attacks. Clearly, I think I had somebody mention to me, a patient, Dr. Larry, why are there so many heart attacks in Iron County happening the last year? So for every year, from January to December, every year, there's always these surprise heart attacks that happen to people, both in any county. Of course, in a smaller community, people tend to know stuff. And in the back of my head, which now is in the front, which is now coming through the microphone to you, is I want to give you some reasons why and what you can do to lower your risk, predict or understand and have some predictability to get the ball rolling, so therefore you don't get caught by surprise, or to lower your risk. It does require a couple of things, and one absolute thing that I'm going to give you: how to predict an attack of your heart. When we get back from the break, stay tuned. You're listening to the Dr. Larry Radio Show.
We'll be right back with Dr. Larry.
The Dickinson Iron Intermediate School District Department of Early Childhood is currently accepting applications for Early Head Start. The ISD is also encouraging parents to submit an application now for Head Start for fall of 2020. Pregnant mothers and children ages birth to 3 may be eligible for Early Head Start home visiting. Children ages 3 and 4 may be eligible to attend Head Start. The program is free to families who qualify. Research shows that children who are enrolled in a high-quality preschool program, such as Head Start, are more likely to succeed upon entry to kindergarten. To submit an application for your child, please call the Dickinson Iron Intermediate School District Department of Early Childhood Education at 779-2695 or visit DIISD.org.
My family depends on clean water every day. That's why WaterCare makes water good for life. Their water softeners, conditioners, filters, and drinking water systems deliver the high-quality, high-efficient water we need. No more rust-colored stains, buildup and scale, blue and green stains, corrosion, or foul odor and taste. See your professional WaterCare dealer to pinpoint your water problems and tailor a system that's right for you. WaterCare, making water good for life.
Wandell's WaterCare, 906-827-3930. WandellsWaterCare.com.
Your healthcare should be about what's best for you. Yet too often, healthcare professionals focus on keeping patients within their system, including who they refer you to. I'm Dr. Jason Klein, orthopedic surgeon and physician owner at OSMS. You should be seen by who you want, and you can be. At OSMS, our focus is on providing you with the highest quality of care in a safe environment. The best part is, you usually don't need a referral for orthopedic care. Learn more at askforosms.com.
Your WIKB weather is brought to you by
Wooden Nickel Pub and Grill on Gibbs City Road. Opens 11 a.m. Wednesday through Monday. Closed Tuesdays. Burgers, cheese curds, sandwiches, cod baskets, appetizers, and swag. Call the Nickel. 265-5861 for
Here's
takeout.
your Iron River and surrounding area forecast. An extreme cold watch begins at noon tomorrow. An extreme cold warning begins at 6 p.m. tonight. Slight chance of snow showers this afternoon. Otherwise, a mix of clouds and sun. High temperatures reach up to 3 above. Westerly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. A dusting of snow today. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on WIKB. Right now, it's 5 degrees above zero.
This is Clovis from Iron River. You're listening to Dr. Larry's Radio.
An audiologist has extensive training preventing, diagnosing, and treating hearing and balance disorders. Research has shown people tend to underestimate the degree of their hearing loss. Rather than just selling hearing aids and fitting them, we try to look at the person and where he is as far as counseling and guidance on his hearing journey.
There's never been a better time to start hearing what you've been missing. And Lori LaFleur at Tri-County Communications will help you every step of the way on your journey to better hearing. Visit her office at 609 Central Avenue in Florence, Wisconsin. Give her a call at 715-528-4350 or find help online at TriCountyAudiology.com.
We're back with Dr. Larry.
Welcome back. Heart attack. There is no, I'm going to read to you right now. There is no single test that can guarantee prediction of a future heart attack, but there are highly definitive ways to identify people at high risk, often years before an event happens. And there are some very good ways that you can approach this. Keep in mind and float above your head the two ladies that I referenced at the beginning, because that I'm going to bring into as an issue of why this information that I'm giving you right now still fails. So here it is. I'm going to actually give you the modern technology, modern protocol, valid testing that basically helps in a more definitive way what's out there and what's available, yet still people are caught at a high degree with a surprise heart attack. Okay, so how do we detect a heart attack before it happens? So this gets very kind of just linear and somewhat clinical, but it's nothing that you couldn't pull yourself off and do some research on. But for the purposes of this segment, it's necessary for me to go through this with you, so let's dive in. Do you have a hidden plaque? A heart CT scan finds silent artery buildup. This is directly from multiple sites of heart health, cardiovascular, this, that, the other. So I'm just summarizing this for you. CT scan, heart CT scan, finds silent artery plaque buildup. That sounds good. How much plaque risk is in your blood? There's a blood test that measures harmful cholesterol particles. Now, all cholesterol is not bad. Some cholesterol is good. But again, cholesterol tends to get a lot of notoriety. It gets a lot of your cholesterol. That clearly isn't enough with modern technology to help offset surprise heart attacks or attacks on your heart. Are your arteries inflamed? How about that for a question? There is a blood test that detects artery inflammation and artery rupture risk. So here are some of those definitive tests, just in a systematic format, and they kind of roll up as far as indicators and predictors. So this should be in your toolbox of things that you need to be aware of so you're not caught off by surprise, but it's still not all the information that you need. Still not all the information that you can glean out there that's on the internet, and still not information that you can actually glean even if one of your family members or some of you know gets a surprise heart attack. Because typically it's what I just said, in the last segment, so-and-so looked great. He was fine. She was okay. I just said hello. Just hung up the phone with. That's what I'm talking about. And no answers. And then the answers come in afterwards, maybe in an autopsy. Maybe the answers come in a little health history after the fact. It's, they had coronary artery disease. They had plaquing. Well, that was all there beforehand. Why couldn't that person have offset that or been able to lower their probability or not even have it at all? That's kind of what I'm getting at. So the best overall predictor of future heart attack risk and why it's powerful is a coronary CT angiography. A coronary CT angiography. This visualizes actual plaques inside coronary arteries. It detects non-calcified or soft plaques that a calcium CT scan might miss or does miss. So the angiography is a study of the geography of the layout of your coronary arteries, and it detects hard and soft plaquing. And the soft plaquing is a problem. That's a big problem. The soft plaque isn't latched on to anything, so it likes to float. And that's where you get some major issues. It's not hanging on. It's not clinging like calcification on arteries, although they all, hard and soft plaque, narrow your vessels. And the narrowing of the vessels still doesn't exhibit symptoms. That's why a CT angiography is important. Now, you just can't run out and get one of these. But this is part of the toolbox of things, and you could get one of these if you are part of these certain risk factors, which again tend to still have problems even getting to that point. So the key advantage is it identifies the cause of the heart attack, the plaque, and not just risk factors. The best overall screening test, and this would be for everybody, the best overall screening test is a coronary artery calcium score. And that is a validated predictor of future heart attacks in asymptomatic, no-symptom adults. And what it predicts: calcium score of 0, extremely low 5 to 10-year risk. Calcium score greater than 100, elevated. And a calcium score greater than 400, high heart attack risk. I want you to remember that, because that's a general screening tool. It's about $100 to $150. Typically, insurance will not pay for it. I didn't ask ahead of schedule, but I'm sure they won't mind. I believe, and I know Dr. Shaker's office in Iron Mountain runs these tests because his PA just ordered one up for a patient of mine, and she was very willing to do it. So kudos to them. And we'll get back to that in just a second as well, too. But I want you to keep that test in mind, the calcium score. Now, why is it strong? It predicts risk better than cholesterol or blood pressure alone. And it's backed by decades of outcome data. And I'll put a little spin to this, maybe even with the AI predictability stuff, it'll even help that up as well, too. So AI is not all bad. Neither is the research. It's going to be bad maybe for certain things, but it's not all bad. The best functional predictor, so that was the best overall screening test and predictor of the future heart attack. The best functional predictor is a stress test with imaging called an echo or a nuclear stress test. Now, this sounds very familiar. So again, oh yeah, I had a nuclear stress test. Oh yeah, I had an echo. That is just one of other things that you have to sort through to make sure that your predictability is squared in properly for you. This detects silent potential instant and acute losses of oxygenation to the heart, flow limiting coronary artery disease, and risk of near-term cardiac events. So the calcium score that you heard gives you an overall risk and predictability. This stress test gives you a near-term predictability. Now, so far, all of you that get these could be asymptomatic without any warning signs whatsoever. Now, the limitation to that test is it only detects problems after the arteries are already narrowed. The most definitive test, the most invasive test, is a coronary angiography, as you heard me mention. That's the gold standard confirming blockage. And by the way, I'm talking about blockages here. I'm not talking about like, AFib, misfires, all that kind of stuff. I didn't qualify that. I apologize about that. So that's used when symptoms exist, stress test is abnormal, and there's known high risk factors within the patient. This is not ideal for pre-screening asymptomatic people, but it is a very valid test for asymptomatic high-risk people. So now here's the deal. It's like now all of a sudden now this gets very like, oh, wait, you just said it's not good for asymptomatic, but it's good particularly for symptomatic. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, and what I'm going to finish off with here in just a few minutes. Now, most heart attacks come from plaques that were not severely blocking arteries beforehand. So the real predictive target is this: vulnerable plaques plus inflammation and stenosis. But the vulnerable plaquing and the inflammation are some of your two great indicators, and then add in the narrowing. Of course, when we hear stenosis, that draws right back to my world because we talk about stenosis a lot with spines. But arteries can have stenosis or narrowing as well. So the single most practical predictor and probability indicator for healthy adults, all's good, insides look great, is your coronary calcium score. For your highest predictive accuracy, it's the coronary CT angiography. And for the strongest future event prediction, that would be a combination of all of the above. Your calcium score, along with your high predictability labs of inflammation and also soft plaquing and hard plaquing, and the narrowing as well too. That gives you a map. That gives you the way to follow. Now I'm going to go back to the top because I'm not done yet. Because this is the essence of what I'm going to tell you right now to get you to where you need to go. Why? Why then, with what I just told you, are there still so many heart attacks? Why, with all the modern technology, are there still where we hear so many people having surprise heart attacks? And why, with all the available information I just spelled it out for you, I just gave you a nice brochure, audio brochure. I have spoon-fed it in your ears. And I could even get to diet and lifestyle change. I could even get into all that right now too, but still, it's #1 worldwide. Why then, how to prevent heart attacks is still the #1 killer in the United States and worldwide? Why? Why, when a patient goes to the doctor, gets a clean bill of health, dies of a heart attack suddenly, sometimes even the next day, as it's happened with patients? And I will tell you why heart attacks are still a surprise to make you a bit more wise. The above information is helpful, but it's useless because of this #1 problem. Inaction because you're good. Let me explain. In the first case and the second case of the 70-ish-year-old females, which represents all males or females as far as cases go, in case 1, there was a CT scan of the spine and the abdomen, and the doctor was looking for cancer. And during that, the case came into me because she had the back pain. I reviewed the CT scan, and right there was severe calcified arteries. Right there. When I asked what the primary care did about the severe calcified arteries, the answer was nothing. And then I said, well, then you should go back and talk to them. And what the patient was met with was a response of, oh, it's not that big of a deal. You're all good. But let me at least run something to see. Still no calcium score test done. No predictability. This would have been shuffled off into ortho-neuro. All the while, the arteries were still there. The information is still here. but it's useless unless it's not acted upon and applied. It's also useless if you think you're good because you don't know you're good, or as I'll tell you about another patient who is being told they're not good, says, I'm good anyway. So you get the two sides of the equation. It's the inaction by either A, the practitioner that should act, but doesn't, or minimizes, because I run into this, or B, the patient where the practitioner goes, hey, by the way, you got a problem, we got to investigate, and the patient goes, I'm good. I'm all good. I don't need to act. And then bang, they get a surprise heart attack and the follow happens. So it's the inaction that I notice on either both sides of the equation. And it can be one or the other. Sometimes both. So in the case with the inaction on the doctor, I had to pick up the ball and run with it. And I said, skip the primary care, get to the cardiologist. Now the 70-year-old patient is getting a calcium score for $150 to start there. From there, as the cardiologist's PA correctly said, we're going to start there. That'll tell us where we need to go, how bad. We'll give you a predictability. And then from there, she'll start layering the test. Now we got action. Now we have awareness and information. Probably going to pull some labs on inflammation, get everything I just told you now. Boom. Pipeline's running. We're all in good shape. That's how a patient like that won't be surprised by a heart attack. Finding who will act on what you need to get done and get it done. I'm going to dovetail in another case, and you're going to see what I mean in a second. I had another guy come in, and this is, again, representative of other guys that come in, mid to late 40s, concerned about his heart. I said, go get a calcium score then. You know, call your doctor up. Again, remember, I'm just a traffic cop. I'm just going, okay, go here, do that, and find out. You know, and by the way, I'll take care of your back and neck. That's what I'm doing. The doctor in this case said it's a useless test. I don't know why Dr. Larry would even bring that up for you. You're in your mid to late 40s. You don't need it. And I said, a useless test? So then circled back around, and I had another different doctor who a patient came in to see me and sat right in my office, and we had a open discussion, his history, and he said, I've had a quadruple bypass. I had no symptoms, Dr. Larry. And you know what the number one test that caught it was the CT calcium score test. My doctor ran it, action, calls me up 2 hours later, says, get down to Green Bay. You're having surgery because you're a ticking time bomb. And the guy was floored because I had no symptoms, but the predictability of the test, his score was like 1,000. I mean, it was way off the charts. He was in trouble. So then, of course, they did the angiography, found it, caught it. And he looked at me, he goes, and then he tells me, he's like, you know what? I didn't realize I was slowly getting short of breath. I was slowly getting a little more gassed. He was in his 70s. He just didn't notice it. But it was the action of his primary care, in this case, that got on top of it. But there's still a lot of inaction, and you're all good, or your labs look good. Well, if you don't have a calcium score test, if you don't have proper labs pulled that show inflammation, all that starting to combine together, or in the second case of the case that I'm aware of, when the patient hurt their back, went into the ER, discharged from the ER, and said all insides look good, I pulled the charts because it's somebody that we're aware of. And I looked through everything. I said, well, there's a possibility of a fracture that I didn't tell them about, but also this patient had 3 severely blocked main coronary arteries. One of them is the widowmaker. I think we all know what that is. One of them was the widowmaker, which is serious. The patient on this side of the equation is like, I'm not going to do any of their drugs or surgeries or anything they tell me to do. Now we have inaction on the patient. We also had inaction on the hospital side of the equation, too, of when they went back in, says, you're going to be fine, don't worry, everything else looks good on the inside. Well, that same person, I'll just tell you, frankly, has a high risk of a surprise heart attack. I don't care what they tell her. So the tests there are available. So there's this inaction and dismissiveness that happens that will catch you by surprise. You have to be active in doing so and dismiss some of the things that you might get as you're all good on the inside. You just need to know that you're all good by those predictabilities and take action on it. Okay. A couple of things before we wrap up the show, announcements and our tip and trick of the week right around the break. This is the Dr. Larry Radio Show.
Dr. Larry will be back in a moment.
Bobby here from State Line Chevy GMC. I turned 10 this month, so we're having a big birthday blowout.
With low lease payments, 0% financing available, and savings up to $10,000 off, now is a great time to get into the new Chevrolet or GMC you've been dreaming of.
And our selection of quality pre-owned truck and crossover options has markdowns up to $5,000 off, making them easier to own.
For more details, stop in or visit us online at drivestateline.com today.
State Line Chevy GMC.
Where great service has no boundaries. Happy birthday!
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
WIKB WFDR Listen Up Radio presents Iron County High School Sports.
Tune in tonight as the Forest Park Trojans take the court against the Escanaba Eskimos. It's Trojan basketball. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:05 with Troy Margoni calling all the action here on WIKB WFDR Listen Up Radio.
Brought to you in part by Stevens Real Estate, S&S Tree Works, Alice's Supper Club, Covantage Credit Union, Auto Dock and Towing, First National Bank and Trust, Remax North Country, Young's Golf and Recreation, the Iron Area Health Foundation, Shamco, Peninsula Title Agency, Ponchot Contracting, Town and Country Sales, West Falls, Marla Shamian State Farm, Connor Sports, Crystal Lumber, Wickwire, Overlands Incorporated, State Line, Mario's Outdoor Power Products, Minerick Logging, and Nash Funeral Home.
This is Jackie from Vulcan, Michigan, and you're listening to Dr. Larry Radio.
What's cooking in your community? Head to one of these fine establishments for your next bite or beverage.
Fuzz and Schmooze Mid-City Bar in Caspian opens 11 a.m. 7 days a week. Sandwiches, burgers, deep fried appetizers, shrimp and fish served 7 days a week. Call 265-9277 for carryouts.
The Habit Bar and Grill, Highway A in Nelma, Wisconsin on the Snowmobile Trail and offering premium gas and daily specials. Open 10 a.m. 7 days a week. Call The Habit 715-545-2646.
Kukal Eyes Bar in Channing's open at 11 a.m. with happy hour 3 to 6, 7 days a week. Weekends, $5 loaded Bloody Marys and mimosas. Always serving Summer Place Pizza. Voted #1 bar in Channing. Check out Kukal Eyes on Facebook for specials, live music, karaoke, and events. Alpha Michigan Brewing Company on the Circle in Alpha opens at 4 Wednesday through Friday and noon on Saturdays and Sundays. Call 920-358-9551 or go to alphamichiganbeer.com or Facebook for tap menu and events. The Horseshoe Bar downtown Amasa opens at noon 7 days a week. Burgers, sandwiches, nachos, crazy broad specialty homemade pizzas, and deep fryer snacks too. It always tastes better at the Horseshoe Bar downtown Amasa.
The Local Eats List from your friends at WIKB WFDR.
Break's over. Time to get cracking once again with Dr. Larry.
Okay there, mates. I don't know what the Australian version of a female is. I know mate. Hey, hello there, mate. Oh, what's the girl? Well, I guess I'll Google it. Okay, a couple things before we wrap up the show and get to the weekly tip and trick. Here's a list of possible upcoming shows, updates, information, everything you need to know. I met Lars. Very informative guy. Works at Total Respiratory right here in Iron River at 500 West Genesee Street. Their main job are sleep disorders, CPAP and oxygen. Very cool, small, portable oxygen. Like, you know those big cylinders that you carry around? Lars and Total Respiratory, they have a different solution for you. And they know how to expertly get you through the insurance to get some of these really high-tech machines for oxygen, for CPAP. They've got 39 locations nationwide. And this new location opened up in December. I'm sure you saw some in the paper. So I stopped by there. Very nice office as well. They have all of your CPAP needs, oxygen needs, and again, some pretty cool technology. So the kind of clunky cylinders and things like that, they still exist. But like Lars mentioned, he says, I didn't even order that many of those because we're able to get patients on this really slick looking thing here. And he kind of carried it over, looked like just like a little baby kind of thing. It was just, I'm like, that's portable oxygen. So yeah, so he's got some really cool stuff over there. He will work with any one of your practitioners to talk to you about this stuff. Of course, get your insurance to qualify you for it. And so they're experts in that. Really neat. That's at Total Respiratory. Let me see, get their phone number. 906-999-8271. These are the types of services and companies that we want around. And from what I learned too from Lars is he's fully trained in all aspects of the business as well. He knows, and I was saying this correctly, he knows how to set you up with this stuff. He knows how to work the insurance. He knows how to deal with the inside, talk to the doctors, the practitioners, etc. So keep total respiratory in mind. Queen City Running, any of the 3 stores, just say you heard me say this. If you go to any one of their stores to get some new tenors, $20 off. That could be their new store in Iron Mountain, their Marquette location, and Houghton. Again, just say you heard Dr. Larry sent me. They'll give you $20 off. Had a couple patients in last week tell me they got their $20 off. That's still out there. Hips, Hippie Shake, 80 song. Dr. Walker Flannery from OSMS is going to come back on the show. This will be a live call-in. He's going to discuss the Valise, I think I'm saying it right, hip navigation system. Sounds cool. Well, he was like a kid when he showed it to me. He says, take a look at this. Basically what it is this software that digitizes when he's about ready to do a hip replacement to make sure that the fitting is all good. There's no short leg problems after he puts the hip in. He said before they had to have this graph thing he put underneath. He goes, not that it didn't work. It says this just kind of really makes it, cinches it, and adds this software and technology. So he's been using it for about a year, and he's going to come on and talk about that at some point this year. I'll circle back around and get him on the books. He said, yeah, no, I want to come on and talk about it. And then, of course, it was the end of the year, and we all get busy doing different things. All right. I hate to bring this up, but I'm going to bring it up. Good patients, listen, you got it down. You're good. You understand insurance typically is one of the necessary things that we have to have out there for various things, auto insurance, health insurance, and you know there's a game. You good patients get it. And you also know when you go to a hospital facility or independent practitioner like myself, chiropractor, because there's not that many of us. Remember, a lot of institution and big box places that you go to get health care, because where's the day where you had the practitioner that was on their own, the doctor you could go see for your sore throat, maybe lop off a wart, give you an antibiotic, okay, if you need it. And they ran their own practice and had their staff and you knew them. Where are they nowadays? They're all eaten up by big box places because insurances have made it so difficult to transact, and they've educated patients in the wrong way that somehow, some way, the insurance is the golden card. Well, you good patients, you realize it. You understand that insurance isn't the golden credit card that just pays for everything. So you go in and get a service, you get a bill back, and you go, oh, I got to pay the difference. I have wonderful people that do that. So, Dr. Larry, you spent half hour, 45 minutes with me. You've saved me $5,000 in tests. You got my back fixed, and you just get back from the insurance company, and you pay it, and you're done. Then there's the good patients that might misunderstand. So this is kind of for the good patient you misunderstand. You might misunderstand that even when your insurance, you go into, let's say, a provider like myself, and you get full service, everything, come into a nice office, greeted by a nice staff, you're handled professionally by me or somebody like me out there, and you get your insurance submitted and it comes back, and they don't pay for a lot of it, and you get a bill. Well, how come my insurance didn't pay for this? Because your insurance doesn't want to pay for it. And then it gets into this whole cycle where, offices like mine, we're billing out insurance sometimes 3 to 7 times. So take 500 transactions per month. That should be just a one transaction, end up being 3,500 transactions per month for a small office because of all the denials. And at the end of the day, bottom line is insurance just isn't going to pay after, sometimes 60 or 90 days. And you get a bill in the mail. And you might misunderstand why you're getting a bill in the mail. The reason is because they're just not going to pay, but you still got the service. So in a like-kind exchange, the reason why I'm going to say this, because I'm going to talk about the bad patients here in a second, what is insurance has messed up minds is it'd be like going into a gas station, filling up your gas, going in, getting some snacks, and then going, you know what, I'm only going to pay for half of my gas, and the snacks that I got, I'm only going to pay for 1 out of 5 of those, and you walk out the door because my insurance says they'll pay for it. And the grocery store or the gas station clerk or whoever's like, wait a second, no, you got to pay for those items. That's the same thing in healthcare. Whatever you go, whoever you see, whatever you do, bottom line is at the end of it all, you still received the service. somebody has to pay. And if your insurance doesn't pay, then you have to. So there might be a little misunderstanding on good patients. And then there's the bad people that take advantage of practitioners, that try to corner you. Oh, yes. And just try to get one for free. There's a lot of those that are starting to grow, try to get and take advantage, get full service, walk away, not want to pay for a $10, $20, or $40 bill. You good people and ones that misunderstand, it's unfortunate that the bad people are starting to grow and take advantage of them. So hang in there. You still be you and you be good. And for the rest of you that misunderstand insurance or are taking advantage of, watch out. Pay your bills, and get your service. Okay, time for the weekly tip and trick. Tim, you head up to the broadcast booth. I'm heading out center stage for the demo. Today, we're going to learn a simple self-test. We're going to walk out of here, Tim. Folks, remember, you can listen to me live right here every week to learn how to achieve a better back and better health. Or if you're having a patient problem, my office number, 906-875-3215. Have a good day. Man on the board. See you next week, everybody.